Eli Drinkwitz, and we spent the majority of yesterday's show talking about how he had requested more from the Fortune 500 companies. And the reason that he wants more is because, in his opinion, Eli Drinkwitz's opinion, Mizzou isn't spending up to the level of other teams that they're competing with for football players.
Yeah, that was one of the big things. We broke down a lot of the points that Drink was making. The one thing we didn't get to go into is him talking about first here. This was a question from Vahe Gregorian, who obviously does a great job over with Kansas City Star. And he talks first about the adaptations they've had to make over the years. But the most important part of this clip is the back half when he talks about potentially the misconceptions about their current NIL budget. Here's Eli Drinkwitz from yesterday's press conference.
Ever since I've been here, adaptability has been the number one key. I mean, we started with COVID, then we got the transfer portal, then we got NIL. And, I think anytime you're a program looking to keep climbing, you got to look for opportunities. And in the sport, I think we've done a really good job of taking advantage of the NIL and transfer opportunities. And I think there's a misconception that I think we've done a really good job of utilizing NIL. I think there's a misconception that we're one of the bigger spenders in NIL. I don't think that's true. I think we're very good at what we do. I think we've been very wise in our investments, but we're not frivolous, and there's certainly not unlimited funds, and there's certainly not we weren't in the top 10 of spenders last year, right, when they put out the list. So I just think there's a misconception that there's more than there probably is.
I would suggest that if you are not in the top 10, but you're in the top 20, that you're still a pretty significant spender. And he says we aren't frivolous. Well, where else was Beau Pribula going to go? Because the musical chairs kind of stopped when Beau Pribula wound up coming to Mizzou for $1.5 million. So I don't know that they weren't bidding against themselves for Beau Pribula when they got him. They have made good choices, and they've had really good teams at the University of Missouri. But I would reject the notion that when you have $1.5 million quarterback and Texas Tech has spent $1 million on theirs, that you aren't spending big money.
So it looks like UCF, Ole Miss, Iowa, Wisconsin were all the big ones that he had either visited or were talking, or he was being reported around in the moment. So at least obviously Wisconsin probably wouldn't have gone that well for him. With the way that they've struggled.
You really want to be a quarterback for Kirk Ferentz?
No, that's something that I would absolutely hate. UCF, he probably could have had a pretty big season at. He could have been.
Scott Frost he's not the same Scott Frost that was there before.
And I think he probably could have beat out Trinidad Chambliss for the Ole Miss job this year. And I think he'd probably have them. I think he'd probably have Ole Miss in a similar spot, if not better than where Chambliss and company have gotten them this year. Well, so that could have been pretty special. Pribula at Ole Miss could have been pretty special. So I think they were, bidding against some people, but obviously, they weren't in the Mendoza conversation after a little bit.
Yeah, Mizzou's first choice was Miller Moss, and he rejected them to go to Louisville. So, but at the end of the day, Eli says we need more money. He says if I'm going to succeed, I need more NIL money. If we're going to do the things that we want to do, we want to win the big games, it's going to take money. And he's not wrong about that. He's not wrong about that. It's going to take more money. It's going to take big spending. It's going to take a big payroll. He's basically a Cardinal fan. It's going to take more money for them to win.
Well, Randy, I think the question that we're going to have to ask ourselves, and Bernie Miklasz asked everyone this question earlier today, just how much are you willing to win at Mizzou? How much of your soul are you willing to sell? If you're not the one bringing in the money, how much of your ethics and morals are you willing to sell? Bernie Miklasz has a plan for the Tigers, but are you willing to stand for it?
Here's the big news. It's almost your turn in Missouri to get into the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st. And pretty soon, you're going to be able to get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. No wonder it's America's top-rated sportsbook app. The countdown is on. New customers sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day, December 1st. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code STL Sports, the one that's right there on your screen. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Here's Bernie Miklasz earlier today on STL Sports Central talking about how the Tigers finally get that NIL boost. You'll hear about this
in our state to get behind the Mizzou football program with financial support that can enable the Tigers to sign better players and keep their better players through the NIL program and to keep that transfer portal humming. I have another idea. Hey, don't throw fruit at me. I have another idea. 2 words, 1 name, Stan Kroenke. Stan Kroenke, come on, help your alma mater here. Stan Kroenke, you are your own Fortune 500 company. Stan, show that you care about the flagship university in our great state, a proud university, a great university that helped develop you into one of the wealthiest persons in the world. You did that on your own, but you got a good send-off through your education at Mizzou. Stan, forget the bad blood about the Rams move. The NFL and you agreed to a $790 million payment to St. Louis. Hard feelings remain here, and I'm sure you got some hard feelings as well. I get it, but that war is over. And St. Louis is just one part of Missouri. And if you come through for the Mizzou football program and play a major role in keeping Eli Drinkwitz and Como and making sure Mizzou's got funding that can match up with the best teams in the SEC, listen, some of those hard feelings out there will soften a bit.
Randy, your reaction to Bernie's plan here?
I think it's a brilliant plan. Stan Kroenke is in the 50 richest Americans in the country. And let's see, his net worth at the moment is he's number 47 at $21.3 billion. And his net worth has risen substantially over the years. Here's the thing about Stan Kroenke. Number one, he is on record as saying, you don't get into this business, i.e. sports, to win trophies. That's one thing he said. Here's the other thing that we know about Stan Kroenke. His hometown of Mora, Missouri, the library was hit, his hometown where he grew up. The library in Mora, Missouri was hit by a tornado about a decade ago, maybe a little over a decade ago. Stan Kroenke, who had maybe 13, 14 billion at that time, was asked for $60,000 to replace the roof at the library in his hometown. And they turned it down. He turned it down. He said, no, I don't want to spend $60,000 on the roof of the library in my hometown. So my thought process, and I like Bernie's thought process, but my thought process here is that part of the reason that he has $23 billion is that he doesn't spend money. He won't spend $60,000 on roof for the Mora, Missouri library. He doesn't want people to live on his land in Texas, so he kicks them off even though they've lived there for 50 years. He says, without shame, you don't get into this business to win trophies. And the one time that the Rams did spend money and win, they tore it down pretty much right away. And they had an argument last year with Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is playing MVP level football right now. He's not paying for the price that he wanted to play for. Aaron Donald is gone. They've got the youngest and least expensive defense in the NFL right now. Stan Kroenke's not into spending cash, and I can't imagine that he's going to get into spending cash at the University of Missouri.
Yeah, listen, you were just saying it yesterday, Randy. How do you can you actually get tangible return on investment as a large company from NIL deals? It doesn't seem like it's going to be a real thing. And to your point, he's not really into businesses that don't return on investment. You could argue that, the LA move was just him realizing that he could triple the value of an asset, take away all the other stuff, the personal stuff and things like that. He was presented with the opportunity to triple the value of an asset. The man he is always going to do that. A couple things there that you brought up. Bernie has the ultimate story, but if you've listened to Bernie's stories about Stan, you would know that trying to get him to feel nostalgic about his childhood is the dumbest, most just pointless endeavor ever. He hates his childhood. He hates thinking about when he was poor. He hates like the fact that was a part of his life. He is disgusted by like his past in ways that kind of embarrass him. So that's never going to happen. To Enrico Palazzo's point here, there is a little bit of a chance to reap some of the Kroenke money because Josh probably has some nostalgic connection to Mizzou that doesn't exist with Stan. Josh is a real actual, I mean, this is a guy who put on the jersey. Like that's a real thing. Josh money is a real thing that could come to Mizzou. Stan money isn't realistic.
I think that makes a ton of sense. Yeah, if you're going to get Kroenke money, try to have it be Josh money. Now, the other thing that Mizzou has done is they pissed off money people like Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer was ready to basically underwrite the baseball program if they hired Tony Vitello as their baseball coach. They wouldn't do it. So you've lost out on all of that Max Scherzer money. He's got a ton of money. Why not go? Didn't John Hamm go to Mizzou for a while? Why not? He's got to have a few bucks. It doesn't have to be Stan. It could be some other people, and maybe people that are interested in the football program. I think that they can find people, and they have people, but they also need to. I had a boss one time.
Actors don't have real money. Like John Hamm doesn't have. I can break off $1 million money. John Hamm has. I'll be in your commercial that somebody who did break off $1 million pays for. But he like that. He's just a spokesperson. Also, I always wonder how much.
That was the $45 million. You don't think he could spend a couple of mil?
Actor money's weird. Like it seems like they have a lot of money and then they don't. I don't know. Actor money's different. Like not Clooney.
Don't actors make a lot of money per movie?
Yeah, but wouldn't Brad Pitt should probably has a lot more, loose change hanging around the pocket than Hamm does when we talk about a Mizzou guy.
Yeah, John Hamm for that show that he made. $275,000 an episode.
God bless America. How many seasons was he raking that? And that's good work for him. But I always wonder though with John Hamm is how much he likes being connected to Mizzou, because every time he does Mizzou stuff, there's always a chance that his history at Mizzou pops back up. And if I was him, I'd want to avoid that resurfacing every time, because it's some pretty rough stuff that happened to him when he was a kid there.
I just think that number one, I feel bad for Eli, because I know when Eli comes into town, he meets with people and he asks for money. Every time I see him in town, at some point he's having a breakfast or a lunch with somebody asking for money. And clearly it's not working. He is not getting the kind of return that he wants. And he's of the belief clearly that other places will give him, as he said, unlimited funds. And maybe that's what he feels like he needs. Now, that being said, Matthew, in reading the piece of the comments that he made by Eli Hoff at STL Today, who did a great job of summarizing.
Always
but
does.
Then I had one impression in reading the piece, and then another impression altogether when I watched the press conference. I thought that when I read the words, I thought, okay, he is this is a shot across the bow. And it was almost, I got the feeling where you either provide NIL money or I'm gone. When I watched it, it was, this is kind of what we need. This is the reality of the situation. And I like it here. And we've done a good job. But if we're going to get where we want to go, then I'm going to need this extra NIL money. Did you see it any differently, reading it and then actually watching it? Did you get that same impression?
I will say, watching it, the one thing that did change, and I know people have made this comment, I'm not the first person, I won't be the last. His opening statement being read from a piece of paper, his opening statement being prepared, did send a little bit of like, oh dear God, he's gone through my body. There was a little bit of, if you're not gone, you can rip that statement probably off the top of your head. But if you're worried about people reading between the lines because you maybe are gone, you pre-write it. And I'm probably overreacting, but that was my first reaction when I actually watched the video of it. But to your point, I definitely did lean the second way, which is it is a shot across the bow. but it's a shot across the bow from a guy who wants to stay here, who realizes that he has leverage because of the coaching carousel, where the board of curators have to get on the phone with the 8 Fortune 500 companies, or maybe the 6 or 7 who aren't working with Mizzou, because we figured out a couple of them are. Get on the phone with the other 6 Fortune 500s and the 4 or 5 other that he was thinking of when he listed the 11 top in Missouri. Get on the phone with Energizer. The board of curators needs to get on the phone with those guys and see if they're up for this, because as I have leverage, they will go make those phone calls. They will call those CEOs and find out if this is a real thing to get me more money. So he's just using his leverage, which is what you have to do in these moments. When you're dealing with, as he pointed out, teams with an unlimited amount of NIL, he's seeing a moment where he can press his leverage, and that's what smart business people do. That's what you should want your football coach to do. He has leverage, and he's pushing with it. That's a good thing. I'm okay with that shot across the bow.
One of the things, and I'm not, this is not a shot at you. It's because a lot of people don't like it when people have bullet points or notes or have things written out. I've probably done in 40 years, 2,000 speaking engagements, maybe more. For the most important ones, I always have bullet points. I want to make sure that I hit on every single note that I want out there. I don't want to go up and miss anything or have anything misconstrued. I have no problem with people having things written out and wanting to get every single aspect of their message out there. I don't have any problem at all with that. And it takes an extraordinary speaker, public speaker, to be able to, it takes a Barack Obama to be able to get that sort of message out there with extemporaneously without any notes whatsoever.
You are 100% right. My reaction to that was purely an illogical fan reaction. But again, this is the one sport where I still have that kind of trigger in my brain, where I bypass all logical thought and jump to conclusions like a fan. And so I'm just being honest. This is interesting to me from Skywalker 1902. I don't hear other SEC coaches complaining about needing money in press conferences. It's a bad look. That's fine to the point we were talking about yesterday. Most SEC teams, 9 or 10 of them, you're talking about like 7 SEC teams are legitimate blue bloods. 2 or 3 other ones are in great economic situations. And it's not an SEC team, but did you not see Arizona State's Kenny Dillingham begging every restaurant in the Phoenix area to put up $1,000 a month? Like, this is not something that only Drink is doing. This is something that every single college and basketball coach, in one way, shape, or form, whether they're being public because they have leverage or not, they're doing this. You just might not be seeing it.
And there are some programs, Texas, Georgia, I think at the moment, Alabama. Eli talked about unlimited funds. There are some programs in the SEC that have unlimited funds. And I think it sticks in his craw, if you watched and listened to the press conference, that people say he can't win the big one, because the last comment was, hey, I need these funds to be able to beat the teams that we need to beat, because people are telling me I can't win the big games. And so he thinks he needs better players to win those games against the Georgias and the Texases and the Alabamas of the world.
Just think about it. I mean, look at the SEC, Randy. How many teams in the SEC, by bent of being either blue bloods or having oil money, how many teams in the SEC are by hook or by crook, just do they have an easier path than Missouri to team building? Texas, Texas A&M, Alabama, LSU, Auburn, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee. Like, we're talking about 8 teams in your conference who have won national championships, multiple, in the last 25 years, or are legendary teams for the last 60 years, or have flipping oil money. You're playing in a different ballpark, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're not one of the top 8, it's nothing, or 8 or 9, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, we need to get our tech money, because we're a tech hub. We need to get our tech money in there.
Apparently, journalism is not the highest and most lucrative profession out there.
That's not how you get rich.